Hi, this is Don from DonDronesOn. Welcome to Module 7 of the Droner's Guide to the 2019 Canadian RPAS Regulations. Module 7 deals with a number of special cases in the regulations, including formation flying, flying at night, payloads that you can and cannot carry, and things like that. I wanted to remind you that the entire presentation package from the Droner's Guide to the 2019 RPAS Regulations is available for a nominal fee. Please see the link in the description below. What you get is a PDF soft copy of the entire presentation package in this training suite. It's over 100 pages. Every single one of the 901 regulations in the new RPAS regulations is covered with a clear explanation for each rule. And of course, there are active links to additional resources like the standards and various web pages and things like that that are referred to from the regulations. And as a bonus, I'll throw in a free starter droning logbook with your purchase of the Droner's Guide material. This Droner's logbook is an Excel spreadsheet, soft copy, with multiple tabs, each covering one or more of the requirements from the new regulations. Things like your registration and certification numbers, your flight log, maintenance log, and various checklists and procedures. Each of these can be easily customized to meet your needs in terms of operations and drones. You could do this yourself, but why bother? You can have mine. Alright, let's dive straight into Module 7. The first regulation is 901.22 regarding living creatures. Very simple. You must not carry living creatures on board an RPA. Number 2 is 901.36, flying with other aircraft in formation. So what it says is very simple. You can fly in conjunction with other drones, that's okay, as long as you prearrange any such formation flying with the other pilots. Don't do it once you're up there. The next regulation is 901.38, use of first-person view devices. Now, first of all, a couple of definitions here. A first-person view device means a device, and this is directly out of their regulations, means a device that generates and transmits a streaming video image to a control station display or monitor, probably your phone, giving the pilot of a remotely piloted aircraft the illusion of flying the aircraft from an onboard pilot's perspective. So they mean not only FPV goggles, but also phones or tablets that are displaying a streaming image. So you need a visual observer if you are using FPV goggles or are flying exclusively using an FPV display. It's okay to have a display, but you need to keep the drone within visual line of sight as usual. One of the things they refer to is the fact that the visual observer is performing the detect and avoid functions for you as opposed to the pilot doing it. A detect and avoid function means the capability to see, sense, or detect conflicting air traffic or other hazards and take the appropriate action. So it's all fairly straightforward in terms of how it's defined. The next regulation is 901.39, night flying. Very simple here, although they seem to make it complicated with night vision goggles and all the rest. You must have visible lights on your drone if you're flying at night, and by visible they mean visible with the naked eye. Alright, the next one is 901.40. This is multiple remotely piloted aircraft. Bottom line is, you may fly up to 5 drones at a time, but only if they are all operated from a single control unit designed for that purpose. And if you want to operate more than 5 drones, that's okay too, but you need to have a special flight operating certificate. And here's the link for applying for that certificate. The next one is 901.42, handovers. This is transferring control from one pilot to another. Prearrange any handover to another pilot before the flight. It's perfectly fine to do it, but prearrange that before the flight, and have a procedure that you follow to ensure that you don't lose control of the aircraft. The next one is 901.43, related again to payloads. In this case, they're talking about dangerous payloads. You may not carry dangerous payloads, including explosives, weapons or ammunition, flammable or corrosive items, biohazards, anything else that might cause an aviation hazard or injury to a person, and anything attached to the aircraft with a line, unless following the item's instructions. I found that one peculiar, but that's exactly what it says right here, is attached to the aircraft by means of a line, and unless such an operation is conducted in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Not sure what they're getting at with that, but okay. And if you do want to carry any of those things for some bizarre reason, an SFOC must be obtained to carry any of them. And here again is the link for an SFOC. Now we're getting into some strange things. 901.44 talks about a flight termination system. I thought at first this meant the return to home function that many drones have, but when I looked it up and searched, what they mean by a flight termination system is a means to terminate a flight in a controlled manner. And this is also known as a self-destruct mechanism. If your aircraft is equipped with a flight termination system, it may only be activated in a manner that does not endanger aviation or people. It strikes me that if you have a self-destruct mechanism, it probably violates the payload rule, but okay. Anyway, don't have one of those unless it's super safe. Next one, 901.45. I found this rule very odd because it had only ELT as the title. ELT was not defined in the rule, and nor was it defined at the beginning of the Canadian Aviation Regulations supplement that this was in. But it's easy enough to look it up. An ELT is an emergency locator transmitter. Oh, okay. So the ruling here is that you are not permitted to carry an emergency locator transmitter on a drone. Now, I immediately thought, well, I've heard of people who have locators on the drone so that you could find them if they, they crashed somewhere and you couldn't see where they crashed. But here's the deal. A proper ELT, as meant by this regulation, is a specialized device that transmits on internationally agreed radio frequencies. And those frequencies are either 121.5, 243, or 406 megahertz. So if you do have a locator device on your drone and it does not operate on those emergency frequencies, then it would not be considered an ELT, and hence it would be permitted to have. So it's okay to have a locator device, just not an emergency locator transmitter that operates on the international frequencies. Next, 901.46. This is about transponders, which are automatic beacons essentially. Airspace at high altitudes, like well above the 122 meter level that we're talking about normally with drones, and around some airports require all aircraft to carry a transponder and have automatic pressure altitude reporting equipment. I'll show you a diagram on the next page that helps to clarify where you need it. The NAV Canada Designated Airspace Handbook, and the link is there, precisely identifies transponder airspace. As an interesting aside in here, the air traffic control for that airspace may grant you permission to fly without a transponder. Now, of course, if you're flying within controlled airspace, this is an advanced operation. So let's look at the diagram. And this definition down here is important to go along with it. The transponder airspace is defined in the full Canadian Aviation Regulations, rule number 601.03, where it says transponder airspace consists of all Class A, B, and C airspace, as specified in the Designated Airspace Handbook, and A, B, and C are way up here, 18,000 feet, 12,500 feet above sea level at least, and in this zone here, all of which is above 1,200 feet, so well above the 400 feet normal altitude maximum that a drone can go. But the second part is any Class D or E airspace, which again is in this terminal control area, which seems to possibly extend down into the control zone down here, specified as transponder airspace in the Designated Airspace Handbook. I looked through this handbook and it appears as though essentially major airports like Toronto Airport and things like that would have transponder airspace within their control zone. So I would urge you to be very careful if you are in an area near a major airport and for some reason are intending to fly there, assuming you have all the right permissions, then I urge you to look in the designated airspace handbook to ensure that you have the appropriate equipment. You may want to talk to air traffic control before even attempting to fly there. All right, that's the most complicated of these so-called special cases that I've gone through. And that wraps them up, in fact. So thank you very much for watching the training module on special cases. This is module number 7. You have one more to go in my series, and that's my suggestion is to finish it off and go through this very important module on procedures. And once again, I'll remind you that the training material that I've been presenting is entirely available as a purchased item via a link in the description below the video. And if you do that, it might be a very convenient thing to have on hand when you are going through either your basic exam or your advanced pilot exam. Thank you for watching this module. Like and subscribe to my videos, and please leave a comment. Thank you once again.